and tuned in. Typically, this is the first week. It's almost always the first week of the month on a Friday. And we have a coach's call that ends about 11:30 Central Time, 12:30 Eastern. And then I do this call right behind it. So this is probably one thing you can tentatively put on your calendar for the first Friday. I don't know if I'd say the first Friday of the month, but the first full week Friday of the month, if that makes sense. You want to kind of tentatively throw that on your schedule, but I'll always send those out to you. And just for the format too, if we haven't been coaching one-on-one very long, typically what I like to do for you guys is accommodate your coaching to your work schedule too. Do our one-on-one coachings the second and the third week of the month, give you the fourth week of the month to get all your deals closed, deal with all the fires, all that stuff. It's real world stuff. And then that first week, you might have some spillover. So that's why we do our group call on the first week of the month. So, and I've got some makeup times in there if something comes up and you miss a call and so forth. So that's kind of the format that I lay out. It's been working really well for a lot of people to get that in the middle of the month, that one-on-one coaching call. We definitely want you in a non-distracted area where you can really take advantage of that time to peel back what's really going on in your world. And basically, if we haven't had this conversation already, it's having a conversation with yourself. And I get to just be your subconscious sitting on your shoulder with you as a partner in your business and help you hear what you're saying to yourself and what you want to commit yourself to so that you have that accountability. It's always one thing being self-employed and having the flexibility and being in an industry where we can basically create pretty much unlimited income and have a really good life. You still got to get up and do the right things every day to make sure it doesn't sneak up on you and catch you off guard 1, 2, 3 months down the road or when the market shifts. So today's call is meant to be very interactive. I want you guys to participate as much as you can. In fact, we're going to run through just a quick, if you guys take a minute, I'll just kind of go in the order of who I see on the screen. Just kind of tell us who you are, how long you've been with Movement or in the mortgage industry, and what market you're in. And then what I typically do is I like to make this real. I mean, this loan officer playbook is chock full of really valuable stuff that you guys can use in your business. I mean, there's forms in the back of that. If you took every single one of those forms out and filled those out every month, it would really give you just a picture of where you are in your business and what needs to be your focus. But it's also just kind of going through and pulling the ideas off of paper and actually turning them into action so that you guys can grow your business, get more referral relationships with realtors, and tap it into your database. So today is interactive. We're not just going to stick to the book. I'm just hitting a couple things, but if there's something in the playbook that you want to expand on or ask more questions, or if there's just something, if it triggers something that's really going on in your world, it's most likely going on in somebody else's world too. So this is, think of this as stump the chump kind of call as well. You guys have me as a group where you're talking about what's going on in the industry or what's going on in your marketplace. And those challenges that you bring up are probably going to be real for almost everybody on the call. So they are definitely worth grabbing on this call where you guys can share what's really happening. Because whatever you share, somebody on the call is probably like, oh man, we have that too. Here's how I've been dealing with it. And that's kind of what the mastermind part of this group call can really play a big part in. So with that being said, I'm going to jump aside here a minute and I'm just going to start. I'll just call your name out in the order that I have you on the screens, and just unmute yourself if you can, and tell us who you are, how long you've been in the mortgage or with Movement, and what market you're in. So looks like Anna's there at the top of my screen. So and then we'll come behind her.
Well, I'm makeup free and look like I'm getting beat the crap out of by the market and what's going on in the industry right now, because, well, that's what we're doing. So anyway, Anna Smith here. Normally I would keep my video off, but y'all should just get to see how fun it is over here. I'm in upstate New York market. I've been with Movement since last October, and in the industry for a little over 7 years. So this is my first time witnessing something like this. So it's a little mentally rough. I don't know if anybody else feels the same.
I'm sure you're going to hear a common thread. So we're going to thank you for sharing that. And by the way, I think you look like $1,000,000. You know, makeup doesn't always do everything. That's for going out on Friday night. You'll probably put makeup on tonight, maybe, depending on where you go, right? But you look great.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, the market hasn't taken a toll on you like you think. All right, we're going to go to Jill, and then behind Jill, I have Juan. All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Ross. I'm in the Tampa, Florida market. I'm an LO. I became an LO last year when I joined Movement in August. So I'm a newbie. And I'm agreeing with Anna. This is really hard, especially for a newbie.
Awesome.
Feel you.
Okay. Juan and then Preston.
Good morning. Here in the Kansas City metro area, specifically on the Kansas side, because that metro area really encompasses both Missouri and the state of Kansas. I'm on my 4th year as an LO, almost 1 year with Movement in a couple of weeks here.
All right, cool. Now we've got Preston and then Elizabeth. If you can come off after Preston, you'll be up on the batter's box.
What's up, guys? Preston, the mortgage guy. I'm in the East Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee market. I've been with Movement now for 5 years, just celebrated my 5-year anniversary with Movement, and I guess been in the industry maybe about 7 years. So yeah, look forward to this coaching program and just, encouragement from you guys, tips, tricks from all y'all's different markets, and see how we can help each other grow our business this year.
And see, I tell you guys, can you feel the energy from Preston? Like he just sent in his thing. We haven't even had our first call yet. And he looks pretty good without makeup. I mean, I think he's doing all right too. Anna, he's keeping up with you.
I haven't given you a close up yet though. So.
I can feel your energy, dude. I'm excited about coaching with you. So. All right. We got Elizabeth and then Linda.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Elizabeth Paris. I am also known as Medicine to Mortgages. I've been in the industry for about 6 to 7 years now. I'm in the Philadelphia, Jersey, Delaware market, but I'm licensed in quite a few other states. So just looking forward to figuring out how to navigate this interesting time that we're in, because this is a new one for me in the marketplace, at least. And I hope to learn from all of you. Forgive the lighting.
I follow you on Instagram, and I didn't even know you were at Movement Mortgage.
Oh,
hi!
funny.
I love your content.
I just started in end of January 28th.
Oh, okay. Welcome. I love your content. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for following. Oh, I'm flattered. I'm new to that too.
This is why we do these calls, because now we know who's doing some Instagram stuff, and we do have the social media section in here. How long did you say you've been in the industry, Elizabeth?
6, 7 years now.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, so now we've got Linda, and hopefully Quentin will be able to come off mute after you.
Hi, everybody. I've been with Movement since May of last year. I've only been in the Hilton Head market about a year now. I moved here from Pittsburgh, and I'm an oldie. I've been a loan officer for over 30 years.
All right.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see
Guess
you.
who can tell us about what happened 8 or 9 or 10 years ago for those of you who've been in less than 7?
It's always up and down, up and down. I remember interest rates at 15%. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. All right, Quentin, if you can unmute, and then we'll have Jeff behind you. There he is.
Hey, everyone. My name is Quentin Green. I am about to come up on my 2nd year anniversary with Movement. Movement is my first company, so this is the experience that I had in the mortgage industry. I definitely appreciate it here. I'm located out of Athens, Georgia. Go Dogs! But definitely I help the Athens area and surrounding within Georgia. I'm on a team where the team is licensed in South Carolina, Arkansas, and Florida as well.
Awesome. All right. And Jeff, if you can come off, that'd be great to hear from you. We'll give him a second. There you go.
What's up, everybody? Sorry, trying to get myself out of the house away from wife and daughter.
That's okay.
Been in the industry for like 15 years. I'm in Orange County, California. And what else do you need from me, Brad?
Oh, that's it. Just how long you've been at Movement and what market you're in, which you got that. So.
encourage my 2 cents. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stay on with all you guys, but my recommendation to everybody on here is continue to be a positive, high energy person, because that's contagious, especially at a time like this where so many market circumstances are outside of our control. And so your business partners, your referral partners, your real estate agents, the ones that you're either in relationship with or you're after relationships with, they want to be shoulder to shoulder and hand to hand with someone that's positive and energetic and ready to tackle this market and find creative ways to still do business, rather than, don't get sucked into doing the Eeyore tell the war stories. We've all got our sob stories of getting beat out in these multiple offer situations, and that it's just not productive.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's a huge, huge takeaway. So I'm not sure about you, Juan, but man, Tampa, Orange County, Georgia, what the heck? How did we end up in Missouri and Kansas? Dude, we are so messed up.
I'll tell you quickly, it's funny. So I lived in Miami-Dade County for 33 years. So I know Miami. And then I moved here in 2016, so 6 years ago.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. And here's what's kind of cool about, and hopefully Juan will be able to even share some stuff too. The thing about our market is the price range is so much lower. So we have to produce more stuff with less people because we can't just go out and hire somebody. And like everybody, there's market compression going on, some things like that, which it's normal, guys. I'm going to share with you today as we go through the loan officer playbook. It's like bringing this stuff to life so that you can create a recession-proof business based on a lot what Jeff was just sharing about the realtor relationships and all your database and your relationships. So if you've coached with me one-on-one, and if you haven't gotten some of the links to some of our past group calls, there's some really, really good ones. There's one on there that's 100 sales in any year for you to have the conversation with your real estate agents about how much business they're really missing. And we're going to talk about that one today. We'll go through the playbook kind of quick and pull out some things and see if there's something right there that you could use today. And then I'll kind of pull it all together around how you build a recession-proof business. Because the experience I'm bringing to the table is a Kansas City market where my price range is a quarter of what all my top agent friends all around the country, living in Oregon and California and Florida and New Jersey, and selling, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 properties, and we're selling $150,000 properties. I'm on the Missouri side. Juan's at least smart enough to be on the Kansas side, where it bumps up to about 250 now, and we've bumped up to 200. So I'm still just on the other side of the tracks from there. However, what I'm getting at is I built a real estate business. I'm bringing you to the real estate side, a top agent, how you get in their head and in their business. So when I share stuff with you guys, really like what you're thinking, top agent, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to be a pest. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening in our world with all the agents, because I have coached with Keller Williams, their coaching company. If you've heard of MAPS or you're working with any KW agents, MAPS is their in-house coaching company. And I've been a coach for MAPS. I've coached the top teams at KW. I know what the agents are doing and what they're going through. So whenever you bring your real world agent stuff, like, I just didn't know if I should do this or do that, I'll tell you what's really happening in their world, and we can close that gap, because it is going to be all about staying in touch with them and getting into relationship with them versus just going for that next deal. And so that's another thing I'll kind of lead off with. The entire industry is really screwed up because it teaches us all to go out and get the next deal, right? Get the next deal, get the next deal, get the next deal. Who's your realtors? You got to call 5 a day, every single day. But along the way, everybody's doing business, and your real estate agents are actually starving too. So don't rely on them to feed your business. But what we can do is rely on our relationship with them to build their business and build your business together as a partner, and give them things to help them grab a hold of their database and their relationships And I'm sure Linda's going to be able to share a lot of stuff with that over long-term relationships, because that's the long game. Now, in the short game, we still have to make deals happen. So we still have to do some things to find the next deal. However, in the long game, and I'm really sure Linda will share something on this, that in the long game, it builds a recession-proof business so that whether the market's up, whether the market's down, the producers and the people that are growing their business and build a real business, they're going to have business all the time forever. They still might have ups and downs, but you won't find a lot of top producing agents that will have up and down businesses, other than just a team change or something like that. If they shift with the market and they make those shifts and they're hanging out in the right groups of people, then they're going to shift their business and make changes. Now, I'll tell you this too. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I want you guys to know, on the real estate agent side, I have worked with a group of 200 of the top real estate agents all around the country. We were called the Cyber Stars, and we were the top techiest realtors in the industry. And we met every year and we shared our techie stuff. We did a 3-day conference, no vendors, no nothing. It was just top agents coming together, sharing their best stuff. When the market shifted, and we just actually had a conversation about this yesterday, a lot of people think, actually, I'm going to do a poll here real quick. You guys just kind of shout it out. If you were around in the 2006, 7, 8, 9, 2005, whatever, 2004 market, when did the market shift and crash if you were a part of that market? What year?
January 2008.
2008?
That was in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for me. It was February 07. I was
Seven.
out at American Brokers Conduit hosted a party in Napa Valley, and Barry Habib was speaking. And Mortgage IT went to unload a $100 million line of credit, which they normally get paid 4 points for. They had to pay 2 to unload it.
Yep. Yeah. And so Joe's on the call. We had everybody kind of introduce themselves earlier. How long you been at Movement and in the industry, Joe?
I've been in the industry 24 years. I've been in Movement almost 4.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So let me give you the real answer. And actually, for everybody that answered, you are correct. And when the industry thought it changed and when the consumers thought it changed, it actually was changing 2 years prior to that. And I actually have proof, even in Miami. Have you guys watched the movie The Big Short? It's The Big Short with Brad Pitt and Steve Carell, and all these guys are in there. Christian Bale, the old Batman.
I lived it.
What's that?
I lived it. I didn't want to watch it.
No, dude, I took a notebook. So I went to the movie the first time and I'm like, this is like right now they're filming in my backyard, right? And with the second time I took a notebook and I was just taking notes through the whole movie in a movie theater, taking notes, and I got a notebook full of crap. Yeah, so I understand what you're saying there, Joe. If you watch it again, in the first few frames of the movie, Christian Bale is sitting at his desk at his computer and he's like he's jamming on some rock and roll or whatever, and he's acting a little confused. He's looking at the screen and it says 2005. So in 2005, and they actually went to Florida and did a lot of the filming and the shots of the empty, stick built homes that were abandoned by builders and foreclosed on and all that. But in 2005, Christian Bale is like looking at his computer, looking at some spreadsheets, and he's like, something's not right. This doesn't add up. It took till 2007 for everybody to see what he saw 2 years prior. Now, what the experience that I get to bring to you guys is I have a consistent business it's database driven and it's relationship based, and we drip on everybody and everybody hears from us forever. So I really don't, I sell 100 homes a year, whether the market's up, whether the market's down, whether it's sideways, whatever. I've been selling 100 homes a year for 20 plus years on this machine just by staying in touch with people. So here's what it did for me. In 2005, it was actually October of 2005, when I listed 10 properties, and I usually sell 10 properties. So go back to September of 2005, and every month before that, it was list 10, sell 10, list 10, sell 10, list 10, sell 10. And I'm using that as a generality. I might have done 8 one month, I might have done 12 another, but you get what I'm saying, right? List 10, sell 10. It was just a machine, right? and we carried about 30 active listings. October of 2005, listed 10, sold 5. Now, if that's happening right now in real world, most people wouldn't think anything of it. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it, but I was like, that's really weird. I mean, that's never really happened before where it's list 10, sell 5. And that's because I had a machine running, and I can help you guys build this machine, right? So November, list 10, sell 5. Okay, now it got my attention. And again, this was probably the biggest crash since I got in 30 years ago. We've probably been in about, what would you say, Linda, 5, 6, 7 different kind of major shifts in the market in 30 years? Yeah. So November, list 10, sell 5. And then December broke it for me. I listed 10 and sold 5. So in my mind, by paying attention to that and knowing my business well enough, I realized that there were 15 extra homes on the market that should have been sold, right? So things were selling half as fast and the inventory just doubled. So the reason why I tell you this story, guys, is when you start thinking in terms of supply and demand, when you're talking to your real estate agents, talk to them in terms of supply and demand. Because if the supply just went up to 15, right, tripled, and the demand went in half, supply and demand says that if there's not enough buyers, prices start coming down. Well, we were coming out of 2004, 2005. I think Joe, Linda, all of you that have been around for a while, that's when things were going crazy. Like we were pricing everything 5,000, 10,000, maybe some of your markets, 20,000 ahead of what the last sale was. So when December 2005 hit, we had to, I was actually on the phone the first week of January going, hey, I know we thought we were going to get 5,000 more, but we need to go 5,000 less than the next listing that's on the market. And I got all of my sellers out of that before 2007 and 2008 showed up big and strong as to what was really happening. So the whole moral of that story is you want to keep a pulse on your business at all times because this is your livelihood. The second part of it is we want to systematize it and find out how you can get it consistent and persistent. And this is where I'd love any of you to share where if you've got your business kind of flowing on a predictable level. I think everybody newer or that doesn't have that system in place yet would love to hear it, because back to my story of the top agents, when that shift happened, those 200 top agents experienced, most of them averaging 30 years in the business, most of them averaging 200 to 300 sales a year. 25% of them grew their business during that crash in 07, 08, 09, really what began in 05, right? 50% of them held their own. I mean, they definitely did some adjusting and stayed in business. 25% of the smartest people I know in this industry that I learned everything from lost all their savings. They burned through it. They didn't shift. They weren't plugged into a conversation to know what to do. So if there's, and I don't know if this is a good spot, if anybody has anything to chime in or add on anything that you may have done that's made your business more consistent, predictable, anybody have anything to share there?
Back in 2007, I was 663 licensed, life health variable annuities, Florida. And I remember this client, he was just one of 4 or 5 that had just invested a couple of million with me. And he took out 1 million, bought 5 properties, giving 200 each down. A few months later, that million was gone. He never closed on any of the properties as an investor. The value of the property was less than half of the purchase price months later after he jumped in. So yeah, it was pretty ugly. And I remember telling him, listen, here's historical data. Real estate has ups and downs just like anything else. And at that time he told me, no, you're just a young guy. You don't know what you're talking about. Give him $1 million. And that's what happened.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question though, like, I feel like right now, like the demand there's no end to the demand right now. So like, I feel like this is completely different than before because you've got your boomers and your millennials until your boomer generation starts going into assisted living or passing away, which sounds horrible. I feel like we're going to be stuck in this way more demand than supply. situation for a long time. Like this doesn't feel like anything is going away anytime soon.
No, I am glad you brought that up, because that supply and demand, with the demand being where it is. And unfortunately, you guys are feeling the worst brunt of this because it's gotten so dang competitive that we got people showing up with cash. And how can anybody with financing win against a cash offer, right? So those are all things that when we start having conversations with the real estate agents, how to get that business back up. When we start having those conversations with them on a regular basis, you can give them the message that they need to hear. And there are ways to make some of these offers be stronger. Like, for example, I had 6, 7, 8 offers on a property in Kansas City, and I had a VA buyer. We were able to beat out all the other offers on 2 things. One was the relationship with the agent. So for 30 years, every agent I've ever co-opted with hears from me all the time, every year. Now, I'm a real estate agent. I should be a loan officer as well, as I keep in touch with all these real estate agents. They're all my best friends. You want to make the real estate agents your best friend, right? But this agent called me and he's like, hey, we've got actually a better offer than yours, and they aren't VA, but I'd rather work with you than this jerk over here, right? You guys got a lot of jerk real estate agents in your marketplace, yeah? So he said, I would really rather work with you than this jerk. Is there any way your guy can go conventional? Because you're so close. And of course, called the lender and just said, hey, is he good for conventional? Because he had really good clean credit. Listen to this though, before you hear the end of the story. So we switched him to conventional, got the approval letter, got the offer accepted. And then I just called the agent right back and said, hey, do you mind if we order the VA appraisal and just see if it comes back with no requirements and stuff? He's like, yeah, I don't care now. So we did what it took to win the offer. We switched it. And I did tell the buyer, hey, this might cost you 2 appraisals. We're going to give it a shot, but I don't see anything I'd be too concerned about. But, VA appraisers, you never know what they're going to do. Some of them think they're God and they love watching people suffer and lose houses. I don't know. So anyway, we order it, comes back clean, and boom, we got the offer. We switched it back to VA and got in the house. So the reason why I tell you that story is to always be thinking outside of the box. And it's these kind of conversations that will help you do that more, because it's too easy to get stuck. So with that being said, I mean, if you guys are running VA lenders, is there something that one extra step you might add to that after hearing that story?
So Coach, what I think, seems like the universal rule to me has always been people do business with people they like, know, and trust, right? So, that's real estate agents, that's mortgage partners, that's insurance people, that's sellers as well. And so we're entering a market where we got no choice but to start to think creatively on how we can get our offers accepted. And, one of the big pieces to that is the company where we work for, Movement Mortgage. We have a process that's set apart from almost any other mortgage lender in the industry. There's no one that really can touch what we do. And we just have to be honest about that with our realtor partners and also sellers that we're communicating with. So I think we're going to have to start to be creative. I think we're going to have to start to build legitimate relationships. And that's not just, hey, I had one meeting with this realtor, put them in my Rolodex, and then hopefully they call me. That's constantly catering to and building that relationship. And I found that there's realtors out there that I really click with, and there's realtors out there that I really don't click with. And I'm okay with, meeting with a realtor I don't really click with, and maybe they'll send me a deal here or there, but really focusing on those people that I connect well with and that I can build that relationship with. And they're going to help me find off-market deals. They're going to help me find things that have never, they're not being competed against with, 50 other offers. And so I think it's just really creative, but I think the universal rule is going to still apply, that we have to build legitimate relationships with people. Like you said, these people are going to be my best friend, whether it's realtors I go to church with, whether it's realtors, that I, love to go kayaking with or fishing with, those kind of real relationships, I think, are going to help set us apart and help us grow our business this year.
So let me just connect the dots a little bit and we'll keep this conversation going because this is awesome. What Preston just said is how I'll translate that into like today's call, this playbook, right? This playbook is not full of ways to go get a realtor to do business with you. This is the relationship enhancer for the people that you already have relationships with. And I think if you guys take a mind shift that there's really not a whole lot of ways to go pick up the phone, call somebody, get on the phone and get them to give you a loan, right? If you have those relationships with them already, and then you see something cool in this book that complements their business or where they are, that's when it actually starts to come alive. So for example, here's the cool thing about the way I coach that you guys will get from me as a coach. When Preston said off-market deals, they bring off-market deals. Okay. I would say out of 100 real estate agents that you could do business with, 10 of them, 5 of them, maybe 2 of them would know how to find off-market deals. Now they'll still come across some once in a while, but understand that 80 to 90% of those realtors don't even know what an off-market deal is, right? And these are the guys that are doing 6, 7, 8 loans. And you're going to see a clump of agents in any office. You're going to have probably 30% doing 0 deals so far this year, 0 deals on the books. You're going to have about 30% that are doing 3, 4, 5, 6 deals. You're going to have probably about another 30, 40% that are doing 10, 15 deals. And that number gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And it starts jumping really big. Like it goes from 14 to 20 deals. Then there's a smaller group that might do 40 to 50 deals. And then there's a gap and another jump over to a handful that do 100 deals or more a year, right? So it's really weird how that just spreads out. And 50 to 60, well, 80% of the real estate agents are probably doing 20, 25 deals or less a year. So they might not even know that off-market deals exist. And when you said that, you triggered me because one of the classes I teach is how to find hidden listings. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because this is what I'm sharing with real estate agents. So if you guys just take this material and share it with your agents that you're in relationship with, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's genius. So I'm going to give you this free one right now, just because Preston brought it up. Off-market deals. If your agents are struggling with finding a house, just right now, just hold up your fingers. How many deals you have right now that they're approved, but they're looking for a house and there's nothing on the market? Yeah, all over. So you're frustrated, right? And there's probably a little bit of a gap between you and the real estate agent to know just how frustrated they are. You're just waiting for them to find something, right? And you might check in with them once in a while, you might not, but it's checking in with them regular. Yeah, we're looking. What if you could make that same call and say, hey, have you thought about off-market deals? Just tell me right now, if you called those realtors, those 10 realtors, and you said, hey, have you thought about off-market deals? What do you think they would say to you?
I'd probably say, what is it?
Yeah, or they'd probably say, what do you mean? What's an off-market? What do you mean, right? How do you find off-market deals, right? And then you're the mortgage person saying, dude, off-market deals, think about it. I'm giving you the language right now. How often does the average person move? And you want to engage them here. And this is how, if you don't have a super strong relationship, this is how you're going to strengthen your relationship. So off-market deals, let me ask you, how often does the average person move? What are they going to say?
5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years. That's going to be the average, right? So, okay. So the average person moves every 5 to 7 years, right? Okay. Now I'm giving this to you because they may not know this one. National Association of Realtors, I know as the loan officer, right? You're their loan officer. National Association of Realtors has tracked that people typically move within 5 miles of where they currently live. This is so you guys have this data. They typically move within 5 miles of where they currently live, and they typically buy 50% above what their current house is. This is data for you to have these conversations, right? So what that means is they move 5 miles around where they currently live. This is just an average, but it is a stat. And I think that's because of schools, right? They want to keep their kids in the same school and do whatever, where they like that area. And 50% above, if they're in a $200,000 house, they typically move up to a $300,000 house. If it's a 400, they move up to about a 600. It's 50% more. So now if we know this data and you're having this conversation, you just threw that out. So if the average person is moving every 5 to 7 years and they move within 5 miles of where they currently live and they move 50% up, that buyer that you're working with that you can't find anything, right? What area are they looking at? What if you took a pinpoint from their perfect neighborhood that they've been wanting to be in, drew a 5-mile circle on MLS, and you went back 5 to 10 years ago for solds in your MLS? So if you go back 5 to 10 years ago, what sold in that circle 5 to 10 years ago, you're going to get a list. They're going to get a list of probably 50, 60 properties. And then all they have to do is click through the history on their MLS. And I'm going to just hang with me for a minute. If you're not getting all this or following it, I'll repeat it. But they go through the history and see it, as long as they haven't sold again during the last 5 years, and that name is on the tax record, that's a potential off-market listing who's thinking about selling because they've been there for 5 to 7 years. Does that make sense? And if we're focusing on that particular buyer that they've been struggling with, and they're looking for a $300,000 house, we're basically looking for houses 5 to 10 years ago that were selling, that sold for about 300, because now they're worth 450. Does that make sense? So that they could just go 200 to 350, 5 to 10 years ago in a 5-mile radius. They're going to get a list of properties and go through the history, and they're going to end up with 5 or 6 houses that they could actually contact that seller directly for the buyer that you're both working with, right? For your clients, because I know a lot of times real estate agents, it's my client, and you're like, well, it's my client. Everybody's fighting over whose client it is. We're a team, right? But can you guys see how having this conversation with the real estate agent, no loan officer on the planet has had this conversation with their realtor, and nobody they know is having it. So let me pause there for a minute, see if anybody has any questions or anything to add to that, or have you done anything like that?
I think there's also just, you have a little more flexibility in something like that, right? So if it's off market, you've got room to play. So you've got a buyer that's looking for a house, you found the off market deal, you say, hey, listen, I know you're just now thinking about, so I've got a buyer already looking to buy your house. We'd be willing to rent it back to you, or, you don't have to move in 30 days. You don't have to get out of the house immediately, but we have a buyer, we can sign a contract, you get the deal moving, and now they've got some time for them to become a buyer as well. So you found your buyer a house, and potentially you've gained a new buyer as well. So it just gives you a little breathing room.
Yeah, so you're helping your realtor find non-competitive listings that they can sell. Here's the second thing. 5 of the houses that you could get okay to go look at with the buyer, they're not going to buy 4 of those houses. They're going to buy the best one. So now you have 4 new potential listings to come on the market. So can you imagine, Anna, you held up your hand and you went like this, right? There's 30 one-on-one meetings. If I sat down with them at their office and said, hey, I think I found a way for us to help these buyers find something, and let's get in, something that they don't have to compete for, right? When can I meet you at your office or where you have MLS? Bring it to our appointment, and let's just, you throw this conversation out there, have them pull it up on MLS and do it while you're sitting there. And you're going to learn too, but they're going to be like, oh my God, there's like 60 houses here. Just like you said, it's every single time. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're helping me grow my business. That's going to happen subconsciously. But now I can meet with them every week for every buyer that they're struggling with, and watch how many of those listings they're picking up, which then gives you the opportunity to get their sellers pre-approved. You guys can both just compound your business, and nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing it. It's crazy. All right. Anything else? Questions, clarity, or anything on that? Guys, that's a $10 million idea right there over the next few years, right? And it helps you strengthen your relationship with the realtors that you might not have your relationship as strong as what Preston was talking about earlier. A couple of you have said it, but it is about getting into relationship. And think about, you're not going to gain all their business or even most of their business or even probably a third of their business until you've met with them 6, 7, 8 times. So there is this myth in our mind that we are the loan officer and we bug the crap out of these people. Guys, they are experiencing and feeling exactly what you mentioned at the very beginning of the call in their world, only they probably don't have anybody doing this call right here and talking to somebody about it and how to get off the ledge. So they're worried every single day. And when you show up, your relationship's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. All right, anything else on that, or do we want to jump into the playbook a little bit and pull some of the ideas out, or anything else going on that you want to make sure we cover? Because this is the real stuff. I love this stuff. All right, cool. Let's, if you got your playbook out, I don't really go through the whole thing, but I do. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, might have just been background noise. So the one that I pulled out, and I'm not highlighting the whole book, but I would just want to show you how to take advantage of this and make it come alive for you. So this one, it's the page on 3 keys to success. And it's probably about, I don't know, 5th, 6th page in to the loan officer playbook. And there was just a couple of things that I highlighted here. Like if you skim through this book and you hit this page and you just kind of skim through and go, huh, that's pretty cool. I just want to bring it to life on what some of the things that I saw in here. It's like, wow, if I was a loan officer and I saw this, here's where I might take that to the next level. So on number 1, the 3 keys to success in 2022. Okay, the first one says hustle, right? But now is the time to take market share in order to take share. So one of the things they say is in a changing market, successful people actually look for opportunity to solve problems. And when you solve a problem, you've created a widget that now the marketplace wants. What we just talked about off-market listings is a widget. And you're solving a problem, which is every time we go to a house, we're 20, 30, 40, 50 offers in, and they're going 40, 50, 60, 70,000 over, or we're losing to cash offers. So hustling and talking about this off-market stuff is a goldmine conversation. And here's the great thing. You don't even have to remember it word for word. You can just butcher it and try and spit and regurgitate what we just talked about with your next realtor. You're still going to get enough of it, and they're going to get enough of it that you can turn it into a conversation. And think about it as a partnership, masterminding with your real estate agent to grow that relationship versus just to be the solution and to come with all the answers and all that other stuff. It's like everything you ever give them, if you're on the playbooks, if you give them a playbook, we don't just give them the playbook. We're like, all right, what are we taking out of here this month to bring to life? Let's have a meeting and let's talk about what that plan looks like, how I can assist you. Let's make this thing come alive. And when you start doing that, now they're like, holy crap, every single month you give me this book, you have a conversation around putting something into place and I get better business from it, or I free up my time, or I do whatever. And if you're not on the playbooks, you've got the loan officer playbook. That's why we give that to everybody, because the playbooks are another investment and they're only in print form because we want you to, they have to get it from you. You don't just email it, send it to them, whatever. You want them to have your name on that book sitting on their desk. If you don't know what the playbooks are yet, just ask me on our call or shoot me an email after this. I'll get you the information on it and what it's all about. Second thing in here, I'll just hit these 3 and then I'll open it up for any questions or clarity or anybody that wants to add anything else to it that you've experienced, because your experience, I mean, you're all loan officers, so your experience is definitely going to help. But it said cash flow. Do you have a sizable amount of reserves in the bank? So I read that, and you've probably heard this before. And I will tell you that for many, many years, Gary Keller at Keller Williams would talk about getting 3 months reserves in your bank account, just for if the market, something happened, you had an emergency, you got 3 months worth of money. I'm going to tell you right now, at a high level, high producing agents, they have a year to 2 years to cover your expenses in the bank. Now, I'm not going to stop there, because I know in this good market that we just came out of, you guys, I mean, so many people at Movement with everything that we have. And I just know what you guys are going through and your personal income that you're generating, that you're sharing with me on calls, done pretty good, right? And we stockpiled some money, or we made a lot of money. And some of us really bought a lot of really cool stuff with it too, right? Some people have had reserves from something else. You could have had some money inherited, or you've got that savings saved up from when it was good and now you're starting to tap into it. So when it says, are you building up a reserve? If you did build up a reserve and now you're tapping into it, this is the mindset I would love you all to take on, is that if I take anything out of there, that should always grow. Never tap into it, right? Never tap into it. But if you do, whatever you take out, how are you going to replace that as soon as possible? And how do you replace it? This is the mindset I want you guys to sit in is, all right, I just took out $10,000 out of my savings account and I've got maybe 100,000 or maybe 500,000 sitting there. So 10,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but what could I do to bring $10,000 in next month so I don't have to take out 10 again, right? Or I can put the 10 back in. Now I take that thought one step further. If I took 10 out this month and I'm already thinking I might have to take 10 out next month, then right now my focus needs to be on $20,000 of revenue this month so that I don't have to take the 10 out next month. Or if I do, I'm putting it right back in instantly. Does that make sense? So when you do have a comfortable reserve, whatever amount it is, anytime you're tapping into that, the focus right now today is how do I replace it so I don't have to take it out the next month and the next month and the next month. Guys, I've coached so many top people that they can go 6 months, a year, they're tapping into this reserves here and there, and they're still making money along the way, but they're having to tap into a little bit of it every month. And eventually it's gone, but it seems all of a sudden versus over a year or two. And then that's the 25% that lost all their savings. Top agents doing 200 deals a year, flat broke, like no savings in their account, no way to retire tomorrow. So anytime you tap into that, always put it back the next month or do the activities right now to replace it before you get there. And then the last thing, and I'll open it up, is reputation. So reputation, such as your not readies, your next day rushes, all that stuff. Are you looking at those numbers on your Domo report card? And how do we start plugging those holes now? Because that again is going to strengthen your relationship when you don't have to rush around and do everything. It may be happening right now. So all you have to do is like what I suggest on one-on-one calls is when somebody says this is an issue, I want you to track everything that's knocking you off track or it's taking you away from your daily, like comfortable routine. If you got a fire you got to put out, write that thing down because that fire and that hole needs to be plugged through another type of system so that doesn't show up again. And once you start eliminating that, your relationships are going to get stronger. So I know that was a ton of content in just one page. So I'm going to stop there and kind of open it up for any feedback, comment, sharing that anybody has.
I use a budgeting app that is freaking awesome. It's called YNAB. And I'm just like, once you get it set up and learned, it's no time per day. And I can tell you, I'll have all of my expenses paid out for the next 3 or 4 months and then a reserve account for if things go so I know exactly what's paid and what's not paid. And that takes a ton of stress off of, losing $1 million in deals in the last 4 days. You know what I mean? It still sucks, but at least I know I've got my bills paid for the next 3 to 6 months. And I love that app.
You want to type the name of it in the chat, just because I know we hear names all the time and then we don't know how it's spelled to find it. If you would do that, Anna, that would be awesome.
It's like $80 a year, and it tells me I'm spending money I made 150 days ago. So I have 150 days, like, you know what I mean? So that's not including like investment accounts or anything, but like that's how far out I've budgeted in case something goes awry.
Yeah, I love being transparent, guys. I've been in real estate for 30 years. I just now got to the point where I had 3 to 4 months reserves in the account, and I was like, finally, I'm there, right? And then Gary says, you better have a year. This is this market is shifting. And I'm like, crap, I just got the 4 months a year and it felt really good and comfortable. But yeah, I'm like, holy crud, you do need, with COVID, next big thing that hits like that, we better have a year setting aside somewhere. Anybody else have anything to add on any of those topics? All right, cool. So another real quick one, we always have this little biblical side of it that we put in here. And on that one, it was like, do not throw away your confidence. And so the one thing that I had on here that I highlighted was, where is your confidence? And the way I read confidence, it was with real estate agents. Actually, let me ask this, because I need to ask a question to get clarity before I can explain what confidence means. How many of you, thinking of the last few realtors that you've talked to, when you've got them on the phone, how many of you right now, raise your hand if you are the absolute the best person they could possibly be talking to at this point that does loans and would get them more business and take care of their customers, like rolling out the red carpet above and beyond? How many of you know that you're that person if you've got a realtor on the phone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there we're talking a little bit about confidence. If you haven't raised your hand yet, here's what I'll tell you. I'm going to add one more thing to that. The fact that you're on this call right now, and if you wrote down any part of what we've talked about today or made a little star in the book or something, you are already in the top 20% of all loan officers on the planet, whether you've written a loan yet or not, or whether you've written one loan or not. The fact that you are plugging into this call right now, look at how many boxes we have on here. I have 100 coaching clients. Look at how many boxes are on here. You are in the top 5% right now of everybody that was able to make the call, right? So you're already ahead of the pack by plugging into this stuff. This next thing I'll say is, of those realtors you're talking to and you got on the phone, and if you raised your hand that you know you're the best person that would really take care of their people better than anybody else, better than Rocket Mortgage, better than, right, Quicken Loans, you're a real person, right? So if that realtor gets off the phone with you and you did not schedule an appointment, here's what happened. It's like they hit the lottery. It's like they had a scratcher ticket and they just hit $1 million because they have somebody in there that would actually take care of them and the client and have a great experience and help them do all that, right? And you would earn their business. So they had a scratcher and they just won $1 million. But what happened is when the phone hung up and you didn't get an appointment, you basically threw them back out to the wolves, to the 80% of the people that aren't doing anything other than just pushing paper through, or the online guys or anything like that. So you've actually just taken their $1 million ticket and tore it up, and you let them drop it down the drain or whatever you want to call it. But that they had the lucky opportunity to cross paths with you. And I don't care if you're new, you would have the time and energy to listen to every word they were saying and learn more about the process and their clients than somebody who's maybe processing 500 transactions, right? So every time you let them off the phone, here's what I want you to think mentally. How many of you had a conversation with a realtor? It was way shorter than you wanted it to be, and they hung up and you didn't get an appointment. Anybody have any of those? Right. Yeah. So when that happened, right before they hang up, this is the mentality that I want you to say. Don't hang up. Are you kidding? You're about ready to lose $1 million. That's the energy I want you to have in that phone call. Like if they hang up, they just had $1 million ticket in their hand and you just let them throw it away and they didn't even scratch it off. So have that intensity that wait, before you hang up. I mean, this could be the biggest mistake you make today and for the rest of the year. We really need to meet before you decide if we're not going to work together. I mean, if you have that intensity, you're at least going to pick up 1 or 2 more appointments. And if they think you're really, really crazy and they slam the phone on you, you probably didn't want to do business with them either. Anyway, right? Preston said they'll show up. They'll still give you a deal somewhere along the line if you stay in touch with them long term. All that means is you didn't connect yet. And many times when you look back at that conversation, you'll find that we probably went for the next deal too fast versus really finding out what their struggles are, finding out who they are, what are they challenged with. Did you guys see how I opened the call up? It was like, hey, what's going on in your world? So let me give you specific verbiage to cross that conversation over to where it's not loan officer against realtor, but it's somebody that's looking for a relationship. You could say, hey, listen, before you hang up, I would just love to buy you lunch and just hear what's going on in your world. See, one of the things I do as a loan officer in my business is I'm here to totally complement, enhance, and help agents grow their business. And the only way I can do that is understand what's really happening in your world. So whether we do business or not, listen, you get a free lunch out of it. And I just want to hear what your challenges are in your world, so I know how to take that back to my realtor clients and help them have great real estate experiences and their consumers to have experience. Do you guys hear what I just said? Like if you were talking to a realtor and said, man, I just want to pick your brain and see what's going on your side of the world so I understand it for my clients. Well, I want to be one of your clients. That's what's subconsciously happening. All of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, they wanted, and it's not going to be, well, I'm not going to tell you what my problems are. Nobody does that, right? We're talking, that'd be like if you wanted their secrets. Well, I don't want you to give my secrets to somebody. No, I want to know what your problems are, because that's what I do. I solve problems for real estate agents every single day. Okay, let me pause. How many of you just got something out of that little script there that you can twist, use, or it changes the way your phone calls might go from now on? Yeah. So we're going to partner up with them. Listen, this is a tough market. Everybody's struggling. There's not enough inventory. There's way more buyers. You're probably competing and fighting for offers. That's why we need to meet, because together we can talk about what's going on. And I can share with you what I've learned, and you can share with me what your issues are and what you've learned, and we can help you put your business back together. And, you know, like they say, successful people gain market share in markets like this. And I don't want to see you struggle through it. I want to see you gain. So I think if we get together, put our minds together, have like a little mini mastermind, we can both learn something from each other. And then if you have to say it, which I wouldn't even go here, but if you feel like you have to, then say, and if we decide not to work together, that's fine too. We'll both learn something from it. But I wouldn't even say that, because I'm going to expect that they will do business with me. Make sense? Good stuff. Anybody have anything to add to that? Go ahead.
I just would say that people, I think, are a lot more lonely now than we give them credit for. Coming off of COVID, this pandemic, you know, I feel like people are just waiting for an opportunity to get out of their home, meet with, you know, a friendly, smiling face, and talk about what's been going on in their world, because they haven't had that for over 2 years now. So take advantage of every opportunity we get to meet with people.
Yeah. Well, and take the easy road, guys. I mean, literally, you can say, listen, I have a business coach. He's one of the top agents in Kansas City, sells an average of 100 homes a year. And when we have calls every week, you don't have to say, I'm helping you with your business. You just say, we have a call every month. And we're talking about the market and talking about specific things. In fact, we were just talking about off market. How many opportunities are available right now to have your buyer not compete? So even if they don't have a buyer yet, that whole conversation can come up, and you share that one idea with them and they're like, never heard of such a thing, but that totally makes sense, right? So, and there's more. I'm going to send you guys, if you haven't watched the 100 sales in any market, that's an hour long, but there are so many conversations in that you get them plugged in to having a two-way conversation, right? When you listen to it, it's that whole thing about the average person moves every 5 to 7 years. So that means, here's a great question for you to ask a realtor that you're talking to. So if I get into a conversation, I'm like, hey, I like to understand your side of the world, what's going on your world, so that I can plug those, issues and problems and be a solution for my clients. And heck, if we get to work together too, I mean, same thing, right? But so understanding your world, if the average person's moving every 5 to 7 years, let me ask you something. How many Facebook friends do you have? Like on your Facebook, if you open it up right now, in fact, if you're sitting in front of your computer, open it up, go to your Facebook friends list. You guys can do this right now too. Go to Facebook and look and see what's the number of friends that you have. In fact, let's just play a little exercise. If you have it up, let me know how many friends you think you have, roughly.
4,200.
3,200.
42.
Oh,
don't sell me
4,200.
short, Corn. Don't sell me short.
What's that?
I said, don't sell me short. It's 4,200.
42. Well, I know you're probably going to want me to sell you short here in a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Half of them live in Australia.
Anybody else? What numbers you want to throw out? Facebook friends, how many are on there?
At 500.
500.
I'd say 3,000.
16, 3,000.
574.
Now do this real quick. Grab your cell phone and go hit the little people person on Apple phone. It's a little people person. Go to your contacts. And on BlackBerry, I think yours might show you. people with BlackBerry, or not BlackBerry, did I just say Crackberry? Oh my gosh, what
BlackBerry.
happened? People with the Android, I'm not sure where the number is, but it'll show you how many people you have in your contacts record. On iPhone, if you just scroll all the way to the bottom, it may take a little while, but it'll tell you the number of contacts you have in there. What's some of them? Go ahead.
There's a lot.
How many?
1,800.
1,800.
2,628.
628.
I got
2,000.
569.
Yeah. All right. So now we just did two, Facebook and our cell phone list. So would you say Facebook, friends list? Those are people who kind of might know who you are, right? Or you know who they are. We would assume, right? Contacts in your cell phone. That means they've called you or you've called them. Is that correct? So if we take just a smaller batch of that, between the 4,000 and the 600 and all that stuff, you add those two together, let's just say it's 2,000 total. Your real estate agents are all going to be around 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 or more, right? So if you got 2,000 people between your Facebook friends list and your cell phone contact list, right? And they're moving every 5 to 7 years. Here's the easy math. 2,000 times 10% is 200. I'm the realtor, so I do realtor math. I do the 200 first, and then it's really 20%, so I double it. It's 400. You guys follow me on my math? It's if they're moving every 5 years, it's 20%. So there's 400 people who already know you. And what Preston said earlier, they probably like you a little bit, maybe trust you a little bit, or they could like you and trust you because you've had conversations with them. You guys have crossed paths. Those people are not, all 2,000 of those people, first of all, are not even in their database if they even have one. So there's a whole nother conversation. But of those 2,000, if they're moving every 5 years, 400 of those people are moving in the next 12 months. Do you realize that? See, this is what I do. I come in and help real estate agents find those 400 deals and make sure that they call you when they happen. Now, they're not even going to be able to fathom 400 transactions. What if they just caught a fourth of them, 100 of them? You can show every single real estate agent in that one example how there is 100 transactions happening with the people they already crossed paths with, only they haven't stayed in touch with them. They don't have a relationship with them. They're on a list somewhere, and they're buying internet leads, trying to convert internet leads into closed deals, and they got 400 people that are moving in the next 12 months. Not only that, they got 400 people that are moving 1 year from now, and another 400 people out of that same 2,000 people moving 3 years from now. And when you get down to 5 years from now and they've closed 2,000 transactions, guess what happens? It starts over again. They don't even have to add another 2,000 people to keep their business going. They're going to have another 400 moving from the first 400 that they had 5 years ago. Does that all make sense? So when you have these conversations with real estate agents, you're going to blow their mind. Like, they're going to be like, how do you know so much about the real estate business? Dude, these are just numbers. It's math. That's what you do every day, right? You guys live in that number world. So it's showing them that there is way more business that they're missing than they're keeping. And I'm going to give you a little side note. So I've been coaching loan officers since 2005, actually. And I have more clients that call me and say, you will not believe what happened, Coach Korn. He did it. He gave me his database. And I'm like, I know. You have that conversation with him. Why wouldn't I give you my database if I'm not doing anything with it? Give me your contact cell phone list. Give me your Facebook friends list. Print it off. I will help you get in touch with these people, because you guys are the first step, right? You're the first step to see if they're going to get pre-approved that they could move and what they would qualify for. So, okay, so we are at our hour. There's a couple things in here. Now, this was like more of the fun stuff. I'm just going to pull it together, like the theme days. I mean, this is just to help you get consistent and persistent if you're trying to do like a social media follow up. This one right here is what we were just talking about. It says your get better, 1 locked loan per day. And it says to watch the following videos. And there's a video site you can go to. I'll have to post this on, it's a YouTube video. I'll probably send this out in the email with the recap video, but it just has the different things to focus on in this connection, conversion, and relationships. Get people into relationship and you're going to end up converting them down the road. But it might be 3, 4, 5 years down the road, right? Only 20% are moving right now. Do you know why internet leads, only 1 to 2% actually close now? Like if they get 1,000 internet leads, they might close 5 deals out of it. Because out of the 20% that are moving in the next 12 months, if it's an every 5-year market, right? If it's every 10 years, it's 10%. But of that 20%, if you divide that by 12, you get 1 to 2% are actually moving during the month that we're calling all these people. So whenever somebody goes, an agent says, oh yeah, I blast called 100 people. Well, if they just called those 100 people every month for the next 5 years, they'll get 100 deals out of those 100 people. But what they do is they spot blow 100 people and they get 1 or 2 deals. And then they don't call the other 98 again. They don't put them in their database. They don't do anything because they're not doing anything right now. We're going after the next deal. Then they got to find another 100 next month and another 100 next month and another 100 next month. And they're passing up on 400, 500 people that are 40 to 80 more deals. Everybody's moving. So it's time to start capturing everybody. Guys, take your numbers that you just shared with me. If you get every one of those people in your database and you call them all, just call 5 a day, right? If you had 1,200 people and you called 5 a day, it's going to take you 1 year to call them all. But if you called 5 a day every day until you talk to all 1,200 people and you wrote them a handwritten note and you get connected and we get into the relationship that, again, Preston was saying, getting into relationship, doing this even with real estate agents. Do you realize that out of 1,200 people in the next 12 months, you'll have 120 to 240 people moving? And that gives you 10 to 15 deals a month to hand back out to your real estate agents. So you've actually got all the transactions you need right there in your Facebook friends list and your cell phone list without ever even meeting a realtor. But when you master that, and then you do that with their database, you just keep exponentially growing. So that's, again, go through your loan officer playbook. On our individual calls, we can talk about anything in there that you're working. There's some worksheets at the end that if you want to fill some of those things out and send them to me, you're just sending them to yourself, but it's showing that you've got things that you're focused on and you're working on. All right. So I want to stop there because we had a great conversation. I hope you guys got some good stuff out of it. Was this a good call? So,
yes, thank you.
This really turned into a mastermind to give you the conversations to go back and have with real estate agents. So I'm going to throw it back to you guys if you want to share either like one great idea that you got that you're super excited about or anything else that you want to share before we end the call.
Mine's all questions, so I'll get at you later.
Okay. Anything that everybody are they specific questions or are they questions on certain things? Because we might want to address them right here.
Well, one of them is my speech I've got to give next Wednesday, which we can talk about later. And then the other one is I feel like I have a ton of leads coming in. I did 10 pre-approvals on Sunday, and then three will get. So I'm so busy with all this wheel spinning crap to even get through to even making these calls. That you're doing all these 10 pre-approvals. You want to make sure they're right. And then you get 3 accepted offers. One person gets cold feet and backs out. The other person shops you for a new lender. So those 10 pre-approvals led to 1 locked deal. So it's like having the time to deal with all the busy work. It feels like you've got to generate what used to be five leads for 2 deals is now you have to generate 20 leads for 2 deals.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you, Anna. I just
It's
lost it because I got shopped. And there's just, honestly, I'm just learning to kind of take certain things where they are for certain clients and then aggressively go for the ones that I know have completely bought into what I do and how I do what I do. Like they fully trust me. I know when a client shops me, I don't have their full trust. And it's hard to get that back, but that's just my opinion.
You nailed it, Elizabeth. With the relationship, you'll eliminate the shopping. But right now we've got so many things coming through that we are still being shopped. Go ahead, Anna.
It's rugged. It's just rugged. I'm working a shit ton, excuse my French, everybody. And so to call through all 2000, that's just not going to happen.
No, so let me pause there because just put it in reality. So we're not calling 2000 right now, right? Let alone how am I going to call 2000? But could I call 3 people a day? Could I call 5 people a day off of that 2,000?
I don't want any more. I don't want any more people calling me unless they're going to be a deal.
Well, no, so the more that, so if I took that 2,000 and I called 5 a day, right? If I really did 5 a day, 5 days a week, I'm talking about taking 2 days off, if you know what that is even like, right? But if I called 5 a day for the year, I would talk to 1,200 people. Now I'm talking about if I had that list of 2,000, we're just going to do rough here. And I just called 5 and then called 5, then called 5, but I write a handwritten note between the 5 that I talked to. So if they didn't answer their phone, I'm skipping over it. And I'm going to get 5 people on the phone, just say, it's Anna, just checking in. How are things going? You got to reconnect with them first. How's everything going? You doing okay? Blah, blah, blah. Forget about the loan right now. And all I do is I write a note that just says, so glad you answered the phone. It's great to hear that you're doing okay. Or sorry to hear about this. Glad the kids are doing all right. Whatever a recap is of your conversation with them. No business card, no nothing. I'm just going to call through the 2,000 people until I get 5 a day on the phone. You won't even realize you did 5 every day if you do this every day. And so if I called and if I wrote the note, I guarantee you I've tracked it over 20 years. You're going to double your business by accident if you do nothing else right and don't stay in touch with them. The ideal way is I would put them, and the best way I can explain it is like, because I know you guys know enough about Move Home to know that they have campaigns that start running. Is everybody familiar with campaigns or action plans? So if I had a campaign that just said to call every 3 months for eternity, say, for example, or 10 years, because we know they're going to move in the next 5 to 10. So I call 5 people a day, I put them in Move Home, and I start them on a 4 call a year plan that's going to repeat over and over again. And all I do is call them 4 times a year. So I won't even have to think about these 5 people until 3 months from now. In fact, I'm not going to think about them until 3 months from now, when my task list shows it's time to call Joe Schmo, right? So, and I'm going to call Joe Schmo. I'm probably going to get his voicemail half the time. It's like, hey, it's Anna, just checking in, seeing how you're doing. Click, that's it, I'm done. And I start doing that. And I put them all on a plan. It would take almost take 2 years to get through the list of 2,000 people, almost 2 years. However, at the end of the 2 years, and I called everybody and I wrote everybody a note by just doing 5 a day, I will have 2,000 people that I'm a lot more top of mind than I am right now. And the note is the magic piece behind the phone call, because they're like, oh, she's so nice. That's all they do, right? And those 2,000 people, we're going to have somewhere around 200 to 400 of them moving every 12 months. And all you got to do is capture 100 of them, and you'll add 100 transactions to your deal. Now, that's the same exact conversation that you're going to have with the real estate agents as well. But I'm having it to you directly, saying you don't even have to wait for them to figure this out. You can do it right now. It will absolutely change your business. Now, there's another part behind that, Anna, that is all the stuff that's bogging you down. We got to go back in there and really track it out and create a system like a Starbucks to process through. Think about Starbucks for a second, right? Everybody orders their coffee totally different ways, right? I'm a venti, white mocha, skinny, something, I don't know, whatever. Everybody orders their coffee different, yet it processes through the line about the same pace. And you can pretty much count every time you go to Starbucks, you're gonna have your coffee in a few minutes, and it's gonna be just like you wanted it. So once you start figuring out where you're getting bogged down, and you can start plugging those holes, and this, believe me, creating a system is a project that takes a little time to do, a lot of time to do. But once you get it set up and it's created in a campaign or an action plan, then you're just hitting the go button on everything after that. So a lot of people just never even figure out what their perfect process is and what can be automated and what needs to be hands-on, and start processing it like a Starbucks. So that is where our one-on-one calls come in, and creating those systems for you that are your personal system. In fact, I have one group call that is creating your perfect systems, that I'm going to send you guys all a link of just all the past group calls that we've done, because some people are new to the program and didn't see some of the past calls. So there will be some topics on it. We actually go through how to create that perfect process and how you can assign it out to whoever's on your team, or, to get that time back so you can just make those 5 calls a day. That's the part that you want to try and protect. So it's not a solution to the problem. You're going to be swimming around in a tornado. even when you set these systems up and you have them automated, like in my business, selling 100 properties a year, guys, I was a solo agent 2 years ago, not even an assistant putting signs in the yard, sold 70 properties because I have a machine running that it told me when I needed to make sure I had this and call that person and send this over to the lender and make sure the appraisal was ordered, and it's all on autopilot. There's no way I could have done that. I mean, I would have been pulling my hair out. In fact,
What did you use for that? Because like there's so many details in a mortgage loan. Like each transaction has 48 gajillion touch points there. It's like a shit show.
And you're going to start tracking those and you're going to automate it. And those touch points are going to come up in your process when they come up to make sure that piece is in place. Believe me, we'll talk about that on your individual call for sure, because everybody will have a question about that. And you're definitely at the point where we could start creating those now. I have over 1,000 campaigns or action plans in my real estate business. And if I list a house, it's from the time it lists until it goes under contract. These series of events are just going to happen automatically, and they're just going to pop up and tell me when I need to do the next thing. From the time I get a contract until it closes, boom, 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 boom. In fact, one of those steps in there on day 2 or day 1, I think, is did you send a copy of the contract to the lender? So there's a lot of things I'm doing that we want you to do for your agents, because they're not going to figure out to do it for you. So there's calls like I'm that listing agent that I'm going to actually call you because my system tells me to call the listing agent when I'm representing the buyer. Say, hey, I need to find out if the appraisal got ordered. I don't wait for my co-op agent to call. Here's where the bog starts happening, Anna, is like I'm calling the listing agent to have them call the lender to see if the appraisal was ordered, to wait to get the call back from them to get back to me. Oh, inefficient as hell. So let's just call directly. And I know we get the call all the time. It's like, well, we really can't talk about that. I'm like, that's cool. I'm still making the call and see if I can shortcut the process. And I just gained about 10 minutes of phone calls back and forth and voicemails and all that stuff. And every 10 minutes that I grab back, I'm able to like have a life or do more deals. So it's just about getting efficient, really treating it like a Fortune 500 company, or a Starbucks is the best way to put it. Starbucks or McDonald's. I mean, McDonald's, you get the same dang burger every single time you go. Same gut ache. Like I get that gut ache, right? It's the same spot every time I eat a McDonald's. How do they do that? Like, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, that's a process, and it does take time to create.
I have to run, guys.
All right, guys. I know we're a little bit. Yeah. Anybody else?
Out.
Go ahead. What?
I'm tweaking out. I got to go answer these calls.
Yep. Your Women's Council of Realtors conversation tomorrow is going to be already what we talked about, by the way. So think about that before we talk.
But today?
Yeah.
You want me to call you later?
I've already given you the whole conversation today in this call. I'm gonna make you think about that one a little bit. So yep, right. You can call me anytime after this. I'm open.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. I gotta go, guys. Good luck. Okay.
Anybody else have anything they want to add or share or ask questions about? Man, you guys have been great. I've loved the interaction. Hopefully I didn't talk too much and you guys got stuff from each other out of it as well. So we'll do this. We'll do this once a month, and it'll be about the first week of the month on a Friday. All right, guys. Have a great day.
Good stuff. Thanks, Coach.
You guys got my cell phone number. Call me anytime. You don't have to wait for a coaching call. If you got a question, just call me anytime. All right.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach. Bye.
Peace.
See y'all.